What does YouTube's recommendation system, Google Maps routing, and Tesla's self-driving car system have in common? They all make use of machine learning. It's a technology I do not know much about, but what I do know is that it's an amazing tool to solve great problems. Take self-driving cars for example. The thought of not having to steer the wheel sounds amazing, helping us to reduce traffic, fight with climate change, while also saving time and making streets safer.
But as with every great technology, there's lots of buzz around it, and in order to understand what are the problems that machine learning can solve and how to solve them, I took on a challenge to become a machine learning engineer in 9 days. As with every project, I started with the plan. Day 1, go through no-code ML tools. Day 2, learn about the basic theory. Day 3, still learn about the basic theory. Day 4, go through some practical video tutorials. And day 5 to 9, build an actual project. The reality? Well, I can already say it didn't go as planned. On my first 2 days, I learned a lot about no-code ML tools and got a basic understanding of what machine learning can do. I went through a list of different no-code ML tools and added brief comments about each of them. It's quite amazing, as there is software for both enterprise level but also for people who just want to play around with the technology. For example, if you don't know anything about machine learning, I advise you to play around with Teachable Machine. It's the tool that wowed me in the beginning, as I was easily able to build a pose detector. Another fun tool to use was Lobe, where I could build an image detector and learn about image labeling. Using Lobe felt like playing a game, as its user interface was really simple to use. Regarding more sophisticated tools, I recommend exploring Peltarian and obviously .ai. Peltarian seems to be a really thorough platform. For a beginner not knowing much about machine learning, there are many options that seem confusing, but by going through the tutorials, things start to make sense. They also have helping materials to learn about machine learning and artificial intelligence jargon. Regarding obviously .ai, I advise it for business people who want to understand what's possible with AI, as they seem to use more business jargon, which I really liked. It also gives the user example dataset to play around with. I made use of Airbnb datasets. The next 2 days were spent on theory. My goal was to learn more about how machine learning and deep learning works in theory, and I went through numerous videos and articles to get the basic understanding of things. I'd say the hardest part is to know what to learn and how to learn, as the number of resources out there is huge. For the very basics, I watched videos from channels like Simply I Learn, Google Cloud Tech, TensorFlow and Edureka. The links for the videos are posted in the description. From there on, I took an MIT course on deep learning. I didn't understand everything, but it definitely gave a great overview on how neural networks work. For the very least, you should have an understanding of simple terms like precision, recall, true and false positives, confusion matrix. When introduced to deep learning, there are also terms like convolution and neural networks, learning rate, gradient descent and pooling. And don't worry if you don't understand everything. I certainly did not, but it was enough for me to grasp the main concepts. After 2 days of learning the theory, I wanted to do something more practical. So I went to YouTube, searched for some practical videos and found one in FreeCodeCamp's YouTube channel. The video was made by Deeplizard, which is a small YouTube channel that specializes on explaining things related to machine learning. The tutorial was really good, as it went through all the necessary steps to build your own image classifier, including how to set up a local environment, use Jupyter Notebook, create your own datasets, train the model, create neural networks, and even check the confusion matrix. If you want to learn the basics of how to build an image classifier, I strongly recommend the video by Deeplizard. They also provide a source code that I used as a basis for my future endeavors. By the end of the day, I had a classifier that was able to distinguish cats from dogs. Awesome! On my 6th day, I started building my own project. The goal was to build a machine learning model that's able to detect OK and stop signs. I took the source code from Deeplizard's tutorials only to quickly realize that I need my own training data. I created tons of images of myself with both stop and OK signs, grouped them into test, train and validate folders and fed it to the deep learning model. Hopeful that it's gonna work. It didn't. After consulting with one of my friends, I understood that I need to break the problem into two parts, the hand detection part and the image classification part. To make the system work, I firstly had to detect the hand if it exists in the scene, take a screenshot of the detected hand, classify if the detected hand is an OK or stop sign. On my 7th day, I started with searching for tutorials about object detection, and I quickly found out this object detection system called YOLO. No, not you only live once, you only learn once. The tutorials I used were graded by JPAT and PySource. In these tutorials, I was introduced to Colab, which is basically an online version of Jupyter from Google for running your code and train models. It also connects to your Google Drive, making file management quite convenient. As it provides a possibility to use a remote GPU, it was so much faster than my local machine. After going through the tutorials, it was time for my own hand detection. The enthusiasm I had was lost after 5 minutes when I had to start label manually. Basically, it meant using a software called Label Image to draw boxes around 500 hands in different images to create the training data for my future model. As a developer, I really dislike manual work, and well, that was just painful. Nevertheless, a couple of hours later, after using the source code from the tutorial and tweaking it to my needs, I got my object detection to work. All the hands were actually detected. The 8th day started with high hopes. I had a working hand detector and now it was just necessary to classify them. Using Deeplizard's source code as a basis, I gathered training data from Google and trained the model. The results? It seemed to work okay-ish. Until I tested it out on the actual footage from my videos. The rest of the day was spent on hacking around with the code and data to understand what's going on. On my 9th day, I came up with an idea to use the YOLO object detector and live webcam feed to create training data. I set up the system and it worked. When a hand was detected, it was saved to the training data. I made about 2,000 images and was feeling hopeful. When I sent an image from the video feed to the classifier, everything seemed to work. The validation accuracy was 98%, which was clearly too good to be true. Testing real video footage was still not perfect, but good enough for me as I could add extra checks on the application level. I guess in order to improve my model, I need data from different sources and also use augmentation, which basically means showing the same image in multiple ways. Did I become a machine learning engineer? Definitely not. But I did come to understand how machine learning works, and at least now it's not a black box for myself. I understand something about it. The main takeaways to me are that firstly, machine learning isn't as hard as it seems, at least on the basic level. Secondly, you can learn a lot about the field by using no-code tools. For developers wanting to try out the technology, the amount of free resources is huge. Just go to YouTube, open Free Code Bootcamp and you'll already see some practical tutorials. And lastly, the most important part in creating ML models is data and its preparation. To finish off, I want to say that there are tons of things I don't know, but going through that experience myself and building something practical, I became even more excited about the technology. I definitely recommend you to build something on your own if you don't understand machine learning. With that said, I thank you for watching this video, and if you have any thoughts, opinions, or you found some mistakes I did or have some recommendations, please leave a comment in the comment section below. And see you in the next video. Bye!